A large crowd had gathered outside of Kilmainham, with heads all uncovered. They knelt on the ground, for behind that grim prison lay a brave Irish soldier, his life for his country about to lay down. He went to his death like a true son of Ireland. The firing party he bravely did face. Then the order rang out, present arms and fire. James Connolly fell into a ready-made grave. The black flag was hoisted, their cruel deed was over. Gone was the man who loved Ireland so well. There was many's the sad heart in Dublin that morning when they murdered James Connolly, the Irish rebel. Many years have rolled on since that Easter rebellion, and the guns of Britannia, they loudly did speak, and our bold Irish soldiers fought shoulder to shoulder, and the blood from their bodies flowed down Sackville Street. The forecourts of Dublin the enemy bombarded, their spirit of freedom they tried hard to quell. When above all the noise came a voice, no surrender, was the voice of James Connolly, the Irish rebel.
This being a reading of the last statement of James Connolly, I quote, "To the Field General Court-Martial held at Dublin Castle, May 9, 1916, we went out to break the connection between this country and the British Empire and to establish an Irish Republic. We believe the call we then issued to the people of Ireland was a nobler call and a holier cause than any call issued to them during that World War or having any connection with the war. We succeeded in proving that Irish men are ready to die, endeavouring to win for Ireland those national rights which the British government has been asking them to die to win for Belgium. As long as that remains the case, the cause of Irish freedom is safe. Believing that the British government has no right in Ireland, never had any right in Ireland, and never can have any right in Ireland. The presence in any one generation of even a respectable minority willing to die to affirm that truth makes that government forever a usurpation and a crime against human progress. I personally thank God that I have lived to see the day when thousands of Irish men and boys and hundreds of Irish women and girls were ready to affirm and to attest to that truth with their lives if need be. Signed this day, 9th May 1916, James Connolly, Commandant General, Dublin Division, Army of the Irish Republic, IRA.
Marching down Sackville Street with starry ploughing high, here comes a citizen army with a fist raised to the sky. Leading them is a mighty man with a mad rage in his eye. My name is James Connolly, I didn't come here to die, but to fight for the rights of the working class, this small farmer too, to protect the proletariat from the bosses and the screws. So hold on to your rifles, boys, don't give up the dream. A republic for the working class, economic liberty. The chant goes up, all citizens, this system is a curse. An English boss is a bastard, an Irish one even worse. They'll never lock us out again, and here's the reason why. My name is James Connolly, I didn't come here to die, but to fight for the rights of the working class, this small farmer too, to protect the proletariat from the bosses and the screws. So hold on to your rifles, boys, don't give up the dream. A republic for the working class, economic liberty. Up steps our citizen leader, and he rose up to the sky. My name is James Connolly, I didn't come here to die, but to fight for the rights of the working class, this small farmer too, to protect the proletariat from the bosses and the screws. So hold on to your rifles, boys, don't give up the dream. A republic for the working class, economic liberty. We brought them to a standstill as the flames lit up the sky, till the bullet pierced our leader and we gave up the fight. They shot him in Kilmainham jail, but they'll never stop his cry. My name is James Connolly, I didn't come here to die, but to fight for the rights of the working class, this small farmer too, to protect the proletariat from the bosses and the screws. So hold on to your rifles, boys, don't give up the dream. working class economic liberty. As down by the glenside I met an old woman, plucking young nettles, nor saw I was coming. I listened a while to the song she was humming. Glory-o, glory-o, to the bold Phoenician men. 'Tis 50 long years since I saw the moon beaming on strong manly forms and eyes with hope gleaming. I see them again through all my sad dreaming. Glory-o, glory-o, to the bold Phoenician men. Some died by the glenside, some died mid the stranger, and wise men have told us their cause was a failure, but they stood by their hand and never feared danger. Glory-o, glory-o, to the bold Phoenician men. I passed on my way, God be praised that I met her. Be my life long or short, I shall never forget her. We may have had good men, but we'll never have better. Glory-o, glory-o, to the bold Fenian men.
And thanks for joining us tonight. It's 10 minutes to 12 on this day, the 12th of May 2013. And the title of the show says it all, 12th of May 1916. A truly wretched day in the annals of British imperialism, when they tied a man already about to die at any moment, when they tied him to a chair and shot him. James Connolly. It was the final execution that happened in the previous 9 days. There was another where Roger Casement was killed in August, where the people slaughtered in Kilmainham jail from the 3rd, from Thomas Clark and all the brave Union men. For me, it was the start of something special in my family, where my grandfather, not so many miles up the road, was born. The same day that James Connolly died. So for me, I visited the grave of my grandfather today who bears the same name. And it's a chilling thing, actually, to stand at a grave where your name is there. It's going to say you should all do it and see it, but actually doing it and seeing it, it's... yeah, you see your own name in a graveyard and you stand there remembering the person who brought you up as a father. Yeah, so the 12th of May. When my grandfather did the opposite of James Connolly, he came to Scotland, an immigrant worker, immigrant Irish worker. And I'm going to play a clip here. I watched a movie earlier on about James Connolly. We're going to play some of that, part one of it anyway, tonight. And it was wonderful listening to it, and part of the stuff that James Connolly stood for, one of the things that he called for, was for a bank to be state-owned, where loans would be given out at cost. Loans would be given out at cost by a state-owned bank. Well, this is a message that we've got 3 years to achieve, I think. We should go for it for the memory, for the 100th anniversary. Achieve freedom from the banking capitalist cabal. Whatever name, whatever it's called, whatever illusion or trick it wants to pull and con us all, then the same ideal should be held precious that James Connolly espoused. He knew, he identified, different from the revolution of the French or the American, and something I was speaking to a good brother off air, and it's what Ireland should look to achieve. And God bless the brother, he noted that what Ireland should seek to achieve is something to be a beacon of light for all the other peoples of the world. And if they broke away from the chain of the banking cabal, I'm going to play this clip here. I'll play it in 2 parts. And it's fascinating. Fascinating, some of the stuff that I found out that I hadn't already known about him. And I thought I knew quite a lot. But you never stop learning. And I'll play this. I apologise if you've heard it, if you've seen it. I'll put the link on later on for where the film is. And I'll play it over a couple of parts here. It's not the full part. I'll play maybe some more even tomorrow. But yeah, wonderful movie. James Connolly. I went in there earlier on to look up for something for. Yeah, and it was the top one. It was the top movie there, and it's wonderful stuff. So God willing. Recorded it earlier on while I was watching it. I've not listened to the recording. I can only hope it's recorded it okay. So here we go. God willing, I'll go into the chat room and type away. Speak to you soon. Hail, hail. Increase the peace, fight the power, seek the truth, reject falsehood, for falsehood is always vanishing.
We are out from Ireland for the Irish. But who are the Irish? Not the rack-renting, slum-owning landlord. Not the sweating, profit-grinding capitalist. Not the sleek and oily lawyer. Not the prostitute pressman. The hired liars of the enemy. Not these are the Irish upon whom the future depends. Not these, but the Irish working class. The only secure foundation upon which a free nation can be reared. The cause of Labour is the cause of Ireland, and the cause of Ireland is the cause of Labour.
his physical and moral courage. Those are the qualities of a truly great man. I'm proud that he was an Edinburgh man.
James Connolly travelled the world, didn't just join political organisations, but actually started political organisations, was involved in founding the trade union movement here in Edinburgh and the socialist movement here in Edinburgh.
The importance of education, of the democratic intellect as it's been called here, obviously went straight into his bones.
Connolly was a Marxist, whatever particular kind of Marxist he may have been. He was a Marxist revolutionary.
To have a proper developed society where everyone would be treated equal and with equal opportunities is a socialist society. I say that would be his position quite clearly.
Connolly was one of the great intellectuals, one of the great Irish intellectuals.
Pearse, who was making fine speeches, was once interrupted by Connolly, who said, is there going to be anything more than speeches? Is there going to be a rising now? The place for Ireland's battle is here.
Connolly was born in June 1868, and he was the third son of John Connolly and Mary McGinn. They were a young couple who left County Monaghan in those awful years after the Great Famine.
Those that were desperately poor headed for Liverpool and for Glasgow, and in huge numbers. And after a period of time, there was so much alarm at these poor beggars coming from Ireland that they decided to send a number of them back.
And it's generally recognised now that the history of the Irish in Scotland is a history of the poorest. It's a history of the workers, the people who came here, they built the canals, built the railways, and they lived in absolutely the worst conditions in our cities, including Little Ireland here in the Cowgate.
So some of the poorest Irish who wanted to get out knew that if they were to set sail for Liverpool or for Glasgow, they were likely to be returned home. So they started to come in to the lowlands of Scotland, and in particular into Edinburgh. And they moved into that area that the kind of rich middle-class people had vacated.
At the beginning of the 19th century, there would have been less than 1,000 Catholics in Edinburgh, mostly Catholic Highlanders who were here in a few maybe wealthy families. But by the time we got into the second half of the 19th century, in Little Ireland alone, the area of the Cowgate and Grassmarket where Connolly was born, there was over 25,000 Irish Catholics.
The Catholic Church, which in Scotland is, for the most part, composed of Irish immigrants, much more so than in England. The only part of Scotland that remained Catholic after the Reformation was parts of the Highlands. So the lowlands of Scotland was completely Protestant, and Catholicism was reborn in the lowlands through Irish immigration.
They were coming into the city of John Knox. They certainly would have been confronted with a considerable discrimination, and it would have shown itself in all sorts of different ways. So it was a hostile environment in which they came into.
The Connollys wouldn't have gone immediately to Edinburgh, but would have sought employment going through Glasgow and eventually moving further west and settling in Edinburgh. Employment was very, very difficult to gain, but eventually they did settle there, and the father found some work as a carter with the Edinburgh Cleansing Department.
His job was to take horse dung from the street, put it on a cart, drive up with it. His whole life, so to speak, was filled with horse dung. And as the young Connolly stood there in the Cowgate, he could look up and see the great streets of George IV Bridge and South Bridge on either side of that dark Cowgate where he had grown up, and the wealthy people going to and fro and up there. The boy learnt Marxism before he could read.
mean, there was industry in Edinburgh. There was a working class Edinburgh alongside cultured middle class bourgeois Edinburgh, if you want to put it in those terms. Breweries, printing, that kind of work, furniture making. Connolly's father, I think, wouldn't have been in the running for that kind of work, although we do know that he was a literate man. He could read and write. Connolly often said that himself. So maybe he got some basic schooling, national schooling, who knows? That's a grey area that we don't know about. But not enough to qualify him for more than what he did, which was mostly working as a carter down in the old town.
But the reality was that he did live in one of the poorest areas of Edinburgh. The Cowgate Little Island area was in very worst conditions. And exactly as historians have pointed out, rich people living in George IV Bridge would regularly throw their rubbish and sewage down over the bridge into Little Island where the Irish lived. There was no sanitary conditions. They were absolutely appalling for people to live in. So Connolly lived in that. That immediately gave him an understanding of the sort of class structure that existed in society at that time.
And I think people like James Connolly and their family would have been radicalised by that resulted in a young man like him becoming self-educated to try and change the conditions of the community that he came from.
He would have encountered poverty, and he would have encountered injustice. He would have encountered humiliation. A very snobbish city, this. So undoubtedly that's the kind of thing that makes people class conscious, but needs something else to make them conscious of socialism as the answer to the class problem.
Connolly must have heard a certain amount of the raw material of Irish history from his parents and the stories they told. The idea of learning how to be a socialist and being developed a nationalist consciousness would have been something forced on Connolly by his environment.
People become socialists because socialism is the answer to the problems they encounter, either as a working class person or as someone who sympathises with the working class. And I know this area that around the Cowgate, the High Street. I know it very well. I used to work here 50 years ago when it was one of the worst slums in Edinburgh. So, and that it was even worse in Connolly's day.
So Connolly grew up politically within a culture that was politically a vigorous one in Edinburgh, and certainly the national question, broadly interpreted to include Ireland, wouldn't have been left out of the kind of debates that Connolly took part in.
Just as he approached the age of 14, Connolly had to do what so many of his class had to do, had to forge his birth certificate and join the British Army.
An important and underwritten episode in his life. Now, conditions in the British Regular Army had improved a lot. Basically under a package often known as the Cardwell Reforms of 1870.
He joined the King's Liverpool Regiment in 1882, and when he was posted to Ireland, they say that he served some duty in Castlebar, in Youghal, at the Curragh.
I think by the time he gets to Cork, the Land League memory is inescapable. And I think, too, you can see it in James's later writings, that the issue of land and land ownership was crucial to lots that he wrote.
The whole question of land nationalisation, for example, was something that was preached by Irish socialists in the First International in the 1860s and 1870s.
He eventually was quartered at Beggar's Bush Barracks in Dublin, and on one Sunday afternoon, when he had a day leave, he wanted to visit Kingstown, now Dunleary, and he went to wait for the tram, and also waiting for the same tram was this young Protestant serving girl, Lily Reynolds.
I have had intentions of, when recruited a little, endeavouring to settle down and trying to realise that ideal of home which I have formed in my mind. With your help, Lily, I'd hope to find happiness. In other words, I had intended to ask you if you could find the courage to risk your life and welfare, along with such a scapegrace as myself.
Some of the correspondence leading up to the marriage is quite interesting, because Lily would have to agree that any children from the marriage would be raised as Catholics. And Connolly, in his correspondence to Lily, is quite embarrassed and almost apologetic for the demands that this would require.
You know, he taught himself languages just in order to read. He was said to be devoted to Shakespeare, but was too poor at any time of his life ever to actually afford to see Shakespeare performed. But that speaks of a lust for reading. And you only have to read his works to realise that a man with next to no formal education could read and write and could refer to books that he'd obviously read inside out. I mean, the old Scottish working class tradition of the importance of education, of the democratic intellect as it's been called here, obviously went straight into his bones.
So it's no surprise that people who have developed a sense of social justice through the trade union movement in Scotland would know of and would associate with the views and the teachings of James Connolly, as they would do with the Red Clydesiders, with John Maclean, people who are held up and considered to be central to the development of the trade union and labour movement in Scotland. So Connolly would be there with them. He was born in this country. He learned his socialism through life in Edinburgh, and the trade union movement in Scotland very much see him as part of the development of their traditions.
There are many people within the labour movement in Scotland, especially in the west of Scotland, who can claim Irish background. The great Scottish socialist John Maclean is venerated as a Scottish Republican socialist. He acknowledged Connolly at every turn.
John Maclean didn't ever identify himself with the Labour Party, but he did with the cause of socialism. Spent time in jail. He wasn't a particularly strong person in terms of physique, but in terms of intellect and determination, he was a giant. And the fact that he recognised the qualities in James Connolly, I think, is the biggest compliment that anybody can give.
The dates begin to slot into place when he comes out of the army and meets this very important man, John Leslie, of Irish descent himself, Irish, Old Fenian, who's a very important mentor to Connolly.
There was an element of social radicalism in Fenianism, especially I think in Fenianism Fenianism in Britain, as distinct from Fenianism in Ireland. But it's hard to get away from the fact, unless it was that he picked it up in the British Army, it's hard to get away from the fact that Leslie was probably the decisive influence on him.
But in the case of Leslie, he could see somebody who was making sense of this and arguing that what you need to do was to accept the revolutionary potential in Irish nationalist sentiment, but make it something in which you have the working class organising against capitalists, including Irish capitalists.
You get a sense of him becoming very angry with the Irish Home Rule organisation in Edinburgh, the United Irish League as it had become, because in some of the local elections that Connolly was involved in, they urged their membership to support Liberal candidates against socialists, and Connolly felt they were letting down, they were dividing the Irish community in Edinburgh, playing along too much with the priests. He was on record saying that.
The Poor Law elections in early 1895, here he was defeated by Monsignor Grady, which again led to divisions and led to castigation of Connolly in relation to Connolly the communist, Connolly the Marxist, Connolly the socialist.
Daddy was angry. There's no end to the lies and terrible things that they say about me, Lily. It makes me angry because I know they say those things because I'm a socialist. A socialist, Daddy? What's that? A socialist, no, said Daddy, is a person who wants to change things so that everyone, every man, every woman, every boy and girl will have enough to eat, and that no little boy or girl will have to go barefoot or without clothes. That's what a socialist is, no. But everyone should want that, said No. Have you told everyone?
To be an international labour organiser in those days, you had to be mobile, you had to be international. But James was precocious in as much as he identified the cause of labour with the cause of Ireland, and the cause of Ireland with the cause of labour. It's his famous statement.
John Leslie actually wrote a wonderful tribute to him in the Justice magazine, where he described Connolly as a man among men. He said that he was the most able socialist propagandist. And following on from this article in Justice, Eureka, a message comes from Dublin, from the Dublin Socialist Club, offering Connolly a job as an organiser for a wage of £1 per week.
He'd only been there for a few months when Connolly persuaded them to change the name to the Irish Socialist Republican Party. H.M. Hyndman, the leader of the British Social Democratic Federation, allegedly a Marxist organisation, was a real chauvinist. And in 1896, when the Irish Socialist Party was set up, Connolly published a manifesto for the new party. And although Hyndman didn't attack Connolly by name, he attacked the manifesto. And he said it was quite preposterous that there should be any mention of Irish independence in a socialist manifesto issued within the British Empire.
He called for the nationalisation of railways and canals. He called for the replacement of private banks by state ones, with popularly elected boards of directors that would issue loans at cost. He called for a graduated income tax on all incomes over £300 in order to pay pensions to the aged, infirm, widows and orphans. He talked about the establishment of a minimum wage and a 48-hour week. He talked about free maintenance for all children. He talked about gradual extension of the principle of public ownership to all the necessaries of life. He looked for free education up to the highest university grades, and he also called for universal suffrage.
Dominic Behan sang this song to me in Shepherd's Bush, London, in 1968, and he wrote the first two verses. There is a page in history when the workers first fought back, when the might of exploitation at last began to crack. In farm and field and factory, in workshop, mine and mill, a flame was lit, a beacon bright, and that flame it's burning still. And Connolly was there, and Connolly was there, brave and undaunted, and James Connolly was there. William Martin Murphy and his Dublin millionaires tried bribery and corruption, hypocrisy and prayers to break the transport union, and the scabs they did enlist. But all their graft was shattered by a scarlet iron fist. And Connolly was there, Connolly was there, brave and undaunted, James Connolly was there. They executed Connolly in May 1916. United workers of the world, they still revere his name. In farm and field and factory, in workshop, mine and mill, that blazing light, that beacon bright, that flame it's burning still. And Connolly will be there, Connolly will be there, brave and undaunted, James Connolly will be there.
People.
Thanks for joining us tonight. This is a tribute to the 12th of May 1916. Not only to James Connolly, but to my grandfather who was born just a few miles away on the same day. And God willing, I aim to return to that wonderful land of Ireland very, very soon. If you listen to what James Connolly spoke about, his message is ripe for just now. It wasn't just for a way back 100 years ago. No, it's for now. And to think that people have sold out for a few seats in government to accept what the British government offered in the last 15, 20 years. What did they offer? There was a wonderful, I can't remember the brother's name, wonderful article I read about how the people, or some of the people just now, are little conservatives, the way they've sold out without all their principles. Same way with the ANC, how they spoke about the ANC, and the one thing that they sold out was accepting the banker's shilling. And what did James Connolly say? He stated there clearly, a bank where the shareholders are the people, a bank owned by the state, where money created at cost. That's interest-free money. That's money. So he's taken a wonderful thing that the three main monotheistic religions speak about, where you don't charge interest on your money. He's talking about a fairness that you can only get by running a society not at the behest of the bankers, at the behest of the people. What a wonderful message. What a wonderful message. So God willing, I'm going to trace that brother's steps very soon. A few loose ends to tie up in Zombieland here and I'll be gone. And I plan to go across Ireland from town to town, village to village, with a little keyboard, playing a few tunes and talking a wee bit of flannel juice and gibberish. God willing. Hopefully I might have a book to tout as well, but I'll not be touting it too much, except to get me my next meal. We need to speak about the revolution. We need to talk about how we can change the status quo. We need to infect it in our own communities. We need to get out there and tell people. The message of James Connolly is for now. It's not something to remember for 100 years ago and say, oh right, we've done that, now it's the 13th of May, what do we move on to now? No, I don't want to swear. We can't do that. We have to, in the memory of these people who died, to accept the status quo, to accept what was in offer from the Good Friday, to accept what phony Blair offered. We've sold out all our principle of James Connolly, what he called for. You can't have justice. Look what they've done just now. Internment when I was born. Within 6 months when I was born, they had internment. So before, when was it? Was it 71, 72? I can't remember. It was internment before the... Anyway, I was born in 72. They've still got internment now, in 2013. What has changed? They're still living by the British jackboot. Just because it's no Thatcher's British jackboot doesn't mean it's no a British jackboot. Tony Blair, white man speak with forked tongue. What part is it that these dumb schmucks who accepted what the Brits offered? It's a falsehood. There's people suffering just now in Ireland. Then don't get me started about the dumb schmucks down the south, how big a sellouts they are. How they sold for their filthy shekels to sit at the table of the G8, G20, G crackpots, whatever. The Irish president of whatever, what are they president of this time? Some dumb schmuck organisation. What do they do? Oh, look at this. All these people coming and we're going to talk about this and that. Let's talk about a banking revolution, changing the banking cabal that James Connolly spoke about 100 years ago. Sorry, 100 years ago he was calling for it. 97 years ago tonight he was lying in a grave or about to be buried because he gave up his life for what he believed in. We're all going to die at some point. We all have to accept that. We've got a beginning and an end. It's what we do in that time that defines us as a person. These people were greats. To accept anything less is just selling out their memory. So we need to redouble our efforts in a peaceful way. I ain't calling for any violence. I ain't a violent person. I've not threw a punch in years. I struggle to fight sleep. I need to take a double espresso on a nightly basis to keep me going, to bring you this checked. Because I'm hopeless at fighting sleep, or else I'd be sitting there bored out, not being able to keep myself awake. We need change in our community. We need change. This isn't a recession. This is lies. They're saying this is a recession. This is theft. Straight, ordinary, grand theft, larceny. They're stealing from us. And they're pissing on the back of our trousers, laughing, saying, look at these dumb schmucks. We can take them however they want. We can ride them everywhere. That's how these bastards operate. These illegitimate, these bankers, the government, politicians, the media, they're all in the same act, the same game. That's why people who have got a message, I listened to the bull Frankie Boyle talking to Max Kaiser, and I noticed that myself with the BBC. If you notice it, the dumbing down, anybody at all with a message is just shut down, shut them down, shut them down. And there's even a bit with James Connolly, how, I think it's just coming up in the next part that I'll play, how James Connolly, even against the people that he spoke against and fought against, you know, even members of the Catholic Church, people from the Marx persuasion, James Connolly fused, as we're finding out there, fused many different ideas together. But at the heart of it was a compassion and an understanding of what was wrong and what it would take to make it right. And that the people, that the women, the children and the men, they were what makes a community. And not to sell out principles, but to have a proper moral standing, that you don't sell out, you keep it there close to you, because without that, you're nothing, you're not a proper people. You've sold out. Well, let's not be a sellout to James Connolly and the people who gave their lives 97 years ago. They gave the ultimate sacrifice to make things better for their kith and kin, for their family, and for you and I. Yeah, many things are better, but in many circumstances, many things are worse. Too much delusion out there. Too much willful self-delusion happening. And it's time to fight that back. In a mind-control society that we live in, the only way they want to control your mind. So by not allowing them in your mind, by distancing yourself from the TV and the propaganda and the mind-control society, you win the war, you win the battle, and then tell more people to do it. That's the way forward. Anyway, message from my crackpot over. We're going to listen to a wee tune here, God willing, and we'll get back to that bit there that was on about James Connolly, God willing. And we can do a phone in later on. Phone in 0141 416 1888. Add me in Skype, Tommy in Glasgow. My Belfast number 0289 581 9876. My Los Angeles number 310 668 1916. But hold off that just now. Hold off those numbers just now, God willing. And we're going to play a wee tune here. Starry Plough, Druids.
We show a lot of respect to in this band. And here's his song, the song we wrote ourselves. It's a song called The Starry Plough. rise up the starry bell in James Connolly's name. Rise up the starry bell for his glory and his fame. He joined the Transport Union so the workers could be free. He fought for Irish freedom for the likes of you and me. James Connolly came from Scotland, a rebel to the core. He wanted not just freedom, but socialism and more. He said when we gain our freedom from England's cruel hands, we'll have to fight the bankers, have to make a stand. So rise up the starry bell in James Connolly's name. Rise up the starry bell for his glory and his fame. He joined the Transport Union so the workers could be free. He fought for Irish freedom for the likes of you and me. He held his life for liberty in the GPO. He held his life for freedom and he would not let it go. When the West gave a bar to them and he smashed them brick by brick, he held his life for freedom and a socialist republic. So rise up the starry bell in James Connolly's name. Rise up the starry bell for his glory and his fame. He joined the Transport Union so the workers could be free. He fought for Irish freedom for the likes of you and me. Where nothing has a reason and little has a rhyme. We fought the O's in Wexford, we two had to black and sands. Now we fight the bankers and their greedy hands. So rise up the starry bell in James Connolly's name. Rise up the starry bell for his glory and his fame. We joined the Transport Union so the workers could be free. He fought for Irish freedom for the likes of you and me. So rise up the starry bell in James Connolly's name. Rise up the starry bell for his glory and his fame. Rise up the starry bell in James Connolly's name. Rise up the starry bell for his glory and his fame. So rise up the starry bell in James Connolly's name. Rise up the starry bell for his glory and his fame. He joined the Transport Union so the workers could be free. He fought for Irish freedom for the likes of you and me. So rise up the starry bell in James Connolly's name. Rise up the starry bell in James Connolly's name. Thanks very much, folks.
Hey, thanks for joining us tonight. It's 12:30. We're now into the 13th of May 2013. This year's flying by. And the nights are drawn out now, aren't they? Starting to get dark well after 9 o'clock. Joy of joys. Summer is here in all but weather. Yes, is this officially summer? When the nights start to get dark about after 9. But I'm sitting here in a winter's jacket. Sitting here. There we go. Giving you the sound quality. Look at that. Even got my wee windy squeak fixed. My windy squeak is fixed. Hey, hey. So there you go, sound effect up to the max here. We're sitting in freezing cold Scotland. And unbelievable this weather. Where hath the summer gone? So yeah, half the year gone. Have we passed tax day or freedom from tax day? You know, justice for the working man. James Connolly was for the working man. And if you look what Thatcherite policy brought this country, divided the working man, conquer and divide. So going out and own your own house. So this first of all was an illusion. Go and own your own house. How was this an illusion? Well, until you'd paid every penny back to the unelected, undemocratic banking cabal, then you don't really own it. It belongs to them. The title deeds, deeds for the hooses, not just the bells hooses, the bells with shells as well. Rebels with shells, sell, sell, sell. The message from last week is still the same. But the deeds for the house and everybody's house is held in the bank. And until you pay it off fully, then you can't say that you own the house. But this was the falsehood, this was a lie, one of the main lies that allowed Thatcher and her cronies to break the working man. The solidarity, allied with the fact that she had the media and Murdoch and everybody was a scab, you know, look at how she treated the people for Liverpool. So everybody was a scab because, you know, they had the chutzpah to stand up for their rights. You know, they had the cheek to stand up for their rights. So that was aimed, their public enemy number one, due to Thatcher. So the system under Thatcher, where she conquered the working man, what happened was that Britain fell to the bottom of the wage payout for the whole of the industrialised countries, Western Europe, Australia, Japan, Germany, USA, Canada, etc. All these countries, Britain, America went to the bottom under Reaganite policy, but it was replaced very quickly by Thatcher. And they ran an economy in the last 15, 20 years to combat the low wage that Britain and America was placed under. To combat that, they ran an economy just the last 15, 20 years on rising land price and consumer credit. That's how people thought they had money. That's how people anybody with a pulse would go to a bank or fill in a wee form and you would get the money. That was a honey trap, a giant honey trap to get people hooked into a system. And it's just scandalous. It's scandalous because there was no real economy. Thatcher decimated it, the British manufacturing base. She decimated it more than Hitler ever did. There was communities across the country decimated. Not just in Scotland, but the whole of the north of England. Decimated. Allied to the same time, I don't think anybody's ever done a real investigation onto the fact that the drugs that were flooded into Britain in the 80s, or the smack, that at the same time as these communities were being closed down, the only economy left buoyant was smack, was drugs. So communities were being awash of drugs in the 80s. I've seen many reports and documentaries. Does anybody get anything about how Britain might have, or the British military junta might have flooded Britain with smack in the 80s? Because if you look what happened in Possil, was the drugs capital. Possil Park was the drugs capital of not only Glasgow but of Scotland. People were coming from Aberdeen, Edinburgh, everywhere. And that was in the 80s. And at that time, I know there's a few millionaires for Possil now, But at that time, there weren't too many posh millionaires. You could put it in half a finger how many millionaires with Postle back in the early 80s there were. Now maybe you'll get a good few handfuls. May have to chop off a few extra handfuls to count it all, but you've got a good few handful of millionaires now. But even now, and there might be, who knows, there may be one or two of these millionaires that've got a wee field out in the Hindu Kush mountains. Who knows, how am I to say? But I know certainly going back 30 years ago, there was nobody for Postle owning a fucking field in Afghanistan. There was nobody for Postle sitting there saying, yes, we're out there living at large in the Hindu Kush mountains. We've got fields. So how did all that come back here? Oh, hold on. Maggie Thatcher calls it a beloved mujahideen. Ah, so what, we were friends, Britain and America were friends, we're beloved mujahideen who were getting smack out of there, and it just so happens that our beloved friends, there's a smack epidemic in Britain. Somebody get a video camera out and let's do a video of this. Yes. Let's get down to Postle, let's get a video in the Brothers Bar. Let's get a walk by down the Chippy, down the Saracen Street, undercover camera. Who's up for it? I'll drive down in my armour-plated Mercedes. I we should get a few interviews for the Postal Fleet on here. How many fields in Afghanistan did you own in the 80s? So what we're finding is that Thatcher's Britain, as she was closing down whole communities, ransacking whole communities, there's no mining here, don't go mining, don't go steal. Instead of doing it a better way that Germany did, re-educating the people, retraining the people, subsidising it so until such a level that they could bring in new jobs, instead of just closing it down and leaving whole communities decimated. So she managed in just a few short years to take us back to the Stone Age for the rights of the working man. And James Connolly, who was shot in a chair for standing up, for trying to make a stance for the Irish people, and he had many, and we're going to hear now as well, he had many links, well, being from Scotland, and many socialist people from Scotland, Kerr Hardy, John McLean as we had there, supported James Connolly. He was an enlightened man. He spoke Italian, Spanish, he spoke many languages. And he fused together many ideas. Marxism, he fused together the idea of having state-controlled banks where the government, the people, actually allow loans to be given at cost. At cost. That means the administration cost. So it costs you £10 to set up a loan, whether it's for £50, £100, £1,000, £1 million. It only costs £10 to set up. There's the charge. Give them the loan. And the part is, the banker who gives it is a 50-50. The bank would do due diligence that this idea of giving it, what do you want it for? It's a business. OK, let's analyse, is this business going to succeed? Because it's in our benefit to make it succeed as a bank. Because we're giving you the money and we've got a 50-50 partnership. That's the way proper banking should be done. Instead of the bank gives the money and all the risk is placed onto the person who's getting the money. And the bank is winning no matter what way. Because the person will pay 3 times what they borrow. Or if they default, the bank will go and sell it on, take a hold of the property, get a hold of the land, which is what the banks are all about. It's a massive land grab. So this is what a reversal of fortunes, where we're taking back what's been stolen and what has been eroded over time. Where the land and the resources, you know, there you go, own your own house, but the deeds belong to the bankers. So the entire country, through the back door, is owned by the banksters. But it's okay, just sit back there watching mind-numbing, spirit-crushing game shows. While mindless numpties knock 7 shades of sheck to each other. Meanwhile, people starve, pensioners die each winter. Probably dying each summer now because they can't afford to put the heating on. But hey, it's okay. just forget about what our forefathers stood for against the injustice of a slave system. We've got a slave system just now, and it makes me feckin' well sick that we're not doing anything proper to change it. Waking up. God bless James Connolly for doing what he did. God bless every single person from the Irish Rebellion 97 short years ago. Unfinished business. You better believe it's unfinished. The radical pacifist peaceful revolution continues here. Celtic Community Radio. Tell 10 to tell 10. Tell 10 to tell 10. Weekday nights from 10, 11 o'clock. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. This is a special show this Sunday night in remembrance of James Connolly and the rest of the Fenian brothers of the IRB, from Thomas Clark, Patrick Pearse, Joseph Plunkett, and all the rest of the good brothers. Right, back in for part 2, God willing, and we'll take some calls later on, God willing, if we're still up. 20 to 12, and this is from a film titled James Connolly.
James Connolly will be there.
People like Redmond were very conscious of Connolly and his agitation for socialism. He also, of course, would have become known and become a friend of Maud Gonne, and got involved in many campaigns. One of them was, of course, for the extension of the Act passed at Parliament for the provision of meals for school children. He got involved in that project with Maud Gonne, and also, of course, he got involved in the demonstration against Queen Victoria's Diamond Jubilee.
As far back as 1897, there was James Connolly quite clearly identifying himself as a non-supporter of Queen Victoria, becoming involved in demonstrations and so on. And so the response to him then was to, given that he edited a very important newspaper, a very influential newspaper, was to destroy his printing press. And so he decided to come on a tour of Scotland looking for funds. And during that visit, he met Keir Hardie, who gave him £50, which was quite something then, and therefore carried on the democratic socialist evolution. It was never a revolution, really, if it wasn't democratic. And therefore the link between Keir Hardie here in Scotland and James Connolly was clearly very, very strong.
Irish nationalism has been stymied by the collapse of the Parnell movement. So he's offering a strategy for an Ireland in which the land war is over, the Home Rule Party is shattered, there are new ideas coming in, socialism, feminism, new ideas in literature, new ideas in relation between culture and society, culture and politics. He's offering a synthesis which will draw people together around the idea of an Irish workers' republic, that the way to free Ireland is to mobilise the workers of Ireland, who have no interest other than in ending the capitalism. And capitalism in Ireland is foreign. It's imposed by the British Empire, by British imperialism.
In 1897, Alice Milligan offered James Connolly his first space in Irish print in the Sean Van Vocht, which was an extremely radical thing to do, not least because of Connolly's overt Republican politics. The two journals that he publishes, the first is called Socialism and Nationalism, and the second is called Patriotism and Labour. In Socialism and Nationalism, it's important because he defines the Irish revival. He talks about Irish language movements, the literary societies, the commemoration committees. He says that that this cultural revival is absolutely fundamental in the transformation of Irish society.
He's a Marxist. Marxism is an extremely rich and important body of thought, but it's incomplete. There are problems Marxism doesn't answer. If you want as a Marxist, to address these problems, you have to bring in ideas from other sources. And later in the 20th century, we're used to the idea of people like Lukács, Gramsci, and others who had a cultural critique of capitalism and saw culture as the context in which class struggle took place. Connolly doesn't have access to any of that. He's got to bring in ideas from elsewhere to make Marxism address the problems of Ireland.
But he says that without that there is a danger in which it could simply commemorate something that is a dead culture and therefore become something like a commemorative tradition that is not related to what he called vital living issues. So what he does is he defines, he says that the revival needs to be engaged in a much more politically focused movement, and it needs to direct its cultural activism and make the republic their goal, is what he says. He says it's not a republic that we should base on France or the United States. He says, no, the republic I wish our fellow countrymen to set before them as their ideal should be of such a character that the mere mention of its name would all time serve as a beacon light to the oppressed of every land.
He goes back to ideas of Irish history, of the Celtic culture of Ireland, and particularly the idea of Celtic communism, the communal land ownership of the ancient Irish. And in addition to that, he's bringing ideas, as Bernard Ransom said in his book on Connolly's Marxism, he's bringing in an ethical critique of capitalism from basically Catholic and Christian sources. So he's putting together a synthesis of ideas which had not been put together before. Most Marxists who encountered these ideas at first rejected them because they thought it was very simple. The only thing that mattered was working class struggle in factories. You couldn't get anywhere in Ireland with Marxism of that kind.
Connolly going to America, it consists of two things really. One is desperation for funds. He's got to make a living somehow, and the lecture tour is a way of putting some money together. And secondly, America was a very exciting place for a socialist to be in the period 1890 to 1920.
And in the 5 months of his absence, giving lectures for which he was paid a minimal amount, the Dublin organisation of the Republican Socialist Party really withered, and he was very annoyed about that, very angry. There was a bit of a fallout between him and them.
Connolly was one of the great intellectuals, one of the great Irish intellectuals, self-taught, but an intellectual. And if you look at just some of his articles, the range of the man's diverse interests are simply staggering. He was a brilliant communicator. That's why De Leon invited him to America.
De Leon, a very, very charismatic figure, somebody who still had his impact 30 and 40 years after he was dead, somebody who was producing original Marxist theoretics for Connolly, and the only original Marxist Connolly had actually met was himself, so to speak, before that. From Connolly's point of view, a figure like this, so cosmopolitan in his culture, and De Leon was, after all, a Jewish intellectual, a university lecturer and so forth, but behind it, fairly restrictive, you've got to do what I say, my form of Marxism is the right kind of Marxism to have.
Connolly's relationship with Daniel De Leon deteriorated rapidly, and you could say by the end they detested each other. And it was really rooted in 2 or 3 key disputes they had about the nature of socialist politics and the nature of trade union organisation. But he began as an admirer of Daniel De Leon, and he admired many of the things that Daniel De Leon did. And Daniel De Leon's approach to industrial rather than craft unionism was something that Connolly brought forward in all his trade union work.
American socialism tended to be very sectarian, and a great deal depended on how the Marxist version of socialism was interpreted. And Daniel de Leon was perhaps the most strong-minded of the Marxist socialists in America, the most opinionated, and the one who thought that he had the real truth behind what Marx was saying. And Connolly was initially attracted by de Leon's thoroughness and by his concern to get theory right. But he quickly found that de Leon was, in fact, as some of his enemies called him, the Pope of Socialism, and that he would brook absolutely no opposition. And in the end, of course, de Leon's socialism tended to be too purist in a way. He had little time for labour unions as such, had no conception that syndicalism might be a way forward. Whereas Connolly tended to be, for a man who was very interested in understanding theory, understanding economic causation, he was a great pragmatist.
On the eve of Lily preparing the family to travel to meet James in New York, Mona called Little Maureen in Nora's account in Portrait of a Rebel Father. She decided to play house, and her apron caught on fire, and she was engulfed in flames. She ran out screaming hysterically out into the back garden, and the man who was cutting a hedge a few doors down heard the screams, vaulted over the hedges and tried to put out the fire.
The next day they were brought to Aunt Alice's house. There was a crowd in the house, and in the parlour a coffin, and in the coffin was Mona, looking so strange and white, and her lower lip bitten tight with her teeth. Mama stood at the head of the coffin, and her face was white and stiff, and her eyes bright and staring. Then they went to the graveyard, and Mona was buried.
Can you imagine the scene from an emotional point of view of Connolly, joyous with expectation and anticipation of his family arriving through quarantine in Ellis Island, and when Lily announced that they had lost their eldest child, he said, as I had read in the correspondence, it darkened his life forever.
I have emerged out of the depths, else I would not have written to you. And am sorely troubled by my health, which has indeed given me great trouble of late. As you gathered from my letter, I do not like the country. Indeed, my chief motive in coming here was to provide a better field for my girls than was open for them at home. But the girl, for whose immediate benefit the change was made, was stricken down by death on the eve of our departure. And the blow darkened my life and changed all our hopes and prospects.
Another of the great lost hopes of American labour was the IWW, the Wobblies. Everyone on the left invested hugely in the Wobblies. And again, it was a mark of James as an organiser, because they were facing not just police reaction, not just the reaction of owners, but this was a pitched battle, an almost continuous pitched battle.
It was the most radical organisation in the world, much more radical than the Communist Party, because, of course, the Communist Party was really keeping on so many of the structures of existing states, including the secret police. The IWW ultimately wanted to see a world government with very, very little government about it, because the workers themselves were supposed to be so educated in what their duties were to other workers that they wouldn't want to swindle each other, that you didn't have the old evil of incipient capitalism anywhere.
It appealed to Connolly because it was an organisation that reached out across divisions inside the working class. So for Connolly, the notion of a working class movement that only represented the elite was something that he couldn't stomach. And so the IWW was his pattern of how trade union organisation ought to work.
The IWW was as far-sighted a utopian ideal as you could ask, and yet it was the very latest thing in socialism. Anarcho, meaning that you would have the withering away of the state. Syndicalism, meaning that you would have the factory owned by the workers who are operating in it. And it also meant that Connolly himself was conscious of the fact that the Irish were migrant workers. After all, his people had settled in Edinburgh. And from the very first, he was interested in the word spalpeen in the Irish language, which, of course, in its most famous usage in poetry, is on spalpeen fánach, the wandering worker. So he automatically saw where so much of the labour movement could go by identifying with the nomads in the United States.
Taught himself German, taught himself French, and then he taught himself Italian. And I just say to myself, where did the man get the energy from in circumstances of extreme poverty? If you look at the Communist Manifesto, if you read the Communist Manifesto, there are quite famous statements where Marx and Engels say, where they attack national languages, attack the Celtic fringe. You know, there's no place for small nations in the world anymore. There's no place for there's no place for minority languages. Now, Connolly challenges this argument head on without mentioning Marx or Engels.
Nora attended her father's meetings whenever possible. They went out of town one Sunday, but only a trolley ride, to a meeting of Italians. On the way, Daddy said, I'm going to give them a surprise. They're expecting a speaker, but they don't know me at all. What's the surprise? Asked No. You're going to get it too, he answered, laughing, and no coaxing would make him tell. The hall was crowded. Daddy went to the platform and began speaking. That was the surprise. He was speaking Italian.
First of all, he would have written for the Weekly and Daily People, the Socialist Labour Party, but the paper he founded himself was the Harp when he set up an Irish Socialist Federation to organise Irish immigrant workers, both to support the struggle back in Ireland itself and to support the struggle for socialism within the United States and to cooperate with other ethnic groups in that struggle.
But what Connolly was using the Harp for was to say, OK, I am speaking primarily to Irish Americans, but I'm speaking well beyond that to the people I want them to be working with. That's to say the other immigrants of recognisable ethnic antecedents who have their own stories and their own pasts to cherish and who need, like the Irish, to use that past to tell themselves that they're going to fight for workers' ownership of the world.
He wrote a number of books dealing with both Irish history. His most famous one is called Labour in Irish History. And this was an attempt by James Connolly to put in a Marxist interpretation of Irish history, where he put working people back into the picture. He puts the small farmers back into the picture. Up until then, Irish history was about the big people in history, where Connolly basically exposed the likes of Daniel O'Connell and all these others as for what they were.
He applied what was a self-taught mind to problems of Irish history and transformed it. That you constantly find ways in which he's anticipated later historians, even on the extraordinary point about did the Pope actually bring the Normans to Ireland in 1169? With the dispute as to whether the bull laudabiliter was forged or not. And it is Connolly who says, but there are 3 other bulls from the next Pope Alexander III, not only ratifying the invasion, but threatening to excommunicate anybody who was opposed to it. Therefore, it doesn't matter whether it's a forgery or not. And so, in a sense, he sweeps aside an unproductive antiquarian controversy and puts his heart on what the reality is. Now, to think of Connolly as leading the way for medieval Irish historians sounds dotty. On the contrary, it was a very clear head and a very good historical sense.
Connolly's views on religion are often put into 2 different camps. One is that he had abandoned his religion and he was a socialist and he just merely took the pose of a Catholic. And the other is that he was always religious and he continued to practice right up until he took the last rites. The truth is probably that he had a more nuanced position than that, and it's one that we can understand in the modern world where people do have multiple identities and they define themselves in a whole range of complex ways. And clearly Connolly, as an Irish immigrant, viewed himself as being part of that community, and culturally he viewed himself as a Catholic. And he would have been very up on all the debates going on within the church regarding workers' rights. But Connolly was always clear, it wasn't practising Catholics that were the problem, it was the established church, the hierarchy of the church, who paid no interest in what was happening to the working class and were prepared to turn a blind eye.
Connolly made it absolutely clear in some of his writings that he did not see that the pursuit of socialism and the belief in any religion, regardless of what that religion was, should be at odds. All he asked is that people look beyond the religion to the desire for socialism. And therefore he would have been quite comfortable in people having both a religious view of life but also an experiential socialist view of the circumstances in which they lived. He would have wanted them to use both in order to drive forward the pursuit of social justice.
At the same time, in his book, Labour, Nationality and Religion, Connolly argued that there's no contradiction, there's no antagonism between a sincere belief in a religious belief and an actual having a revolutionary socialist idea of the social transformation of society.
He may, for a period of about 15 years, not have actually attended to any religious duties, but in many respects the culture of religion would have stayed with him.
Oh where is our James Connolly? Oh where is that gallant man? He has gone to organise the union, that working man might yet be free. And where, oh where is the citizen army? Oh where is that gallant band? They have gone to join the great rebellion and smash the bonds of slavery. Who'll be there to lead the van? And who'll be there to lead the van? Oh, who should be there but our James Connolly, the hero of each working man, who carries high our burning flag, who carries high our burning flag. Oh, who but James Connolly, all pale and wounded, who carries high our burning flag.
Well, you say in your letter that you hope the matter has not knocked me out.
And thanks for joining us. And we'll join part 2 of that documentary, God willing, another time, hopefully tomorrow. And the rain has come down, yes. I've not got a sound effect sent over from Hollywood. It's chucking it down here. It's coming down sideways. I think it's hail. God, I hope it's hail. If it's no hail, then it's snow. And then we've got big trouble. If this isn't hail, we've got snow. Call the cops, we might have snow here. Oh my goodness, what is this? Winter? Summer? Is this summer? Is this winter? Go on, somebody tell me what is going down here. Right. So, I'm going to play a couple of tunes here. Couple of tunes going out now. First one Grace by the Dubliners, second one, Smashing of the Van.
Hear the song, here it is, Grace.
As we gather in the chapel here in old Kilmainham jail, I think about these past few weeks. Oh, will they say we failed? From our school days they have told us we must yearn for liberty. Yet all I want in this dark place is to have you here with me. Oh, Grace, just hold me in your arms and let this moment linger. They'll take me out at dawn and I will die. With all my love I'll place this wedding ring upon your finger. There won't be time to share our love, for we must say goodbye. Now I know it's hard for you, my love, to ever understand the love I bear for these brave men, my love for this dear land. But when Porrick called me to his side down in the GPO, I had to leave my homesick bed. To him I had to go. Sing it with me if you know it. Oh, Grace, just hold me in your arms and let this moment linger. They'll take me out at dawn and I will die. With all my love I'll place this wedding ring upon your finger. There won't be time to share our love, for we must say goodbye. Now as the dawn is breaking, my heart is breaking too. On this May morn as I walk out, my thoughts will be of you. And I'll write some words upon the wall so everyone will know I loved so much that I could see his blood upon the rose. Oh, Grace, just hold me in your arms and let this moment linger. They'll take me out at dawn, now I must die. With all my love I'll place this wedding ring upon your finger. There won't be time to share our love, for we must say goodbye. Oh, there won't be time to share our love, so we must say goodbye.
'Twas on the 12th of May, boys, in 1921, when the news ran through all Scotland that a daring deed was done. It was by a band of rebels to release an Irishman. They assembled in the High Street where they smashed the prison van. So here's to the boys who done it. Their cause was staunch and true. Each man who played his part that day was Irish through and through. Side by side they stood there, revolvers in their hands, did that band of Irish rebels at the smashing of the van. Those clever Glasgow police were quickly on the scene. They arrested everybody connected with Sinn Féin. They arrested Father McGrory, an RC clergyman, but they only showed their ignorance at the smashing of the van. So here's to the boys who done it. Their cause was staunch and true. Each man who played his part that day was Irish through and through. Side by side they stood there, revolvers in their hands, did that band of Irish rebels at the smashing of the van. Now the trial, it is over, and the Crown case it did fail, although they did their very best to send our boys to jail, defended by their counsellors, McKay and Sandyman. Sure, the verdict was not guilty at the smashing of the van. So here's to the boys who done it. Their cause was staunch and true. Each man who played his part that day was Irish through and through. Side by side they stood there, revolver.
Oh, sorry about that, Trip. Shocker, innit? Just cut it right off there. What was going down there? That wasn't the full version. I downloaded that there and they never gave us the full version. The smash of the van from 1921, the 12th of May 1921. Just as well I downloaded two versions. That one was only for 3 minutes 36. I got another one with the Wolf Tones, 6 minutes. So we're commemorating the 12th of May 1916. For me, a personal memory of my grandfather being born that day. He doing the opposite of an Irish immigrant to what James Connolly did. James Connolly's family came from Ireland to the Cowgate in Edinburgh, and he'd returned to Ireland, and God willing, I'm going to be retracing his steps soon. Who's that gave me a message there? Who's this? Free Gelly boy, what's happening, brother? That's an idea, bro. That's an idea. Right, so yeah, you can give me a call on the show. It's 0141 416 1888. If you're in New York, if you're anywhere in the western seaboard, the eastern seaboard, the northern no seaboard, and the southern border with Mexico, then you can get me on 310, that's straight out of Compton, 668 1916. Yes, we salute the boys from 1916. James Connolly slaughtered, tied to a chair, about to die anyway, and it shows you the cruel, merciless bastards illegitimize to every last single man. The British military junta shot an innocent man, a dying man, on his chair, strapped him to a chair and shot him. But it's the hope, it's the spirit of James Connolly and the message of James Connolly that matters so much. And just part of that message in part one of the documentary. Oh, who's that? Somebody's phoning me. Hello, who's that?
Hi, Tommy, Leo.
Listen, hold on. Phone me back and give me 30 seconds. I need to set the setting here. I need to get you through in the proper way. I need to set the setting. Give me 30 seconds, right, bud? Right, it would help if I set my call forward and off, or at least allowed it to come through in the old Spreaker. So now is it coming through my phone? Right, 2 seconds, bud. Just need to open this up. Come on, hurry up, open. Don't phone yet, hold on, stay on target. This isn't opening up, hold on. There we go, we've got it. So we'll change the 0 seconds to, we'll give it 15. Right, good to go. If you're hearing this, bud, good to go. It should come through on the computer now. Good to, in fact, stay there and I'll call you. Stay there. Don't move. Peace out.
Tommy. Can you hear me, aye?
Aye.
Hello.
Aye, you there?
I'm here, aye.
That's alright, I'm no myself, but...
Tommy, putting you up. Quality show of the night, bud. Absolute quality. James Connolly. What a man. But I just thought I'd mention a wee thing, a wee bit of respect for Joe Livingston, young girl shot with plastic bullets, 1981.
I hear you, bro. I don't know if my voice is going to be gone. Is it still going through live? Aye. Everything's just frozen up now.
I don't know, but I don't know. I'm talking to you. I'll laugh, so I can talk to you.
Hold on. No, it's okay, bro. No, just everything was freezing up there. No, on you go.
No, I was just phoning up. Brilliant show, but James Connolly, what can I say? The man is a legend. He'll always be in my heart. I'm sure the boys in the chat room and that love the man, even though he was a hippie. And I just wanted to just give a wee shout out to Joe Livingston. Hopefully her family have got over the fact that their child were killed by a plastic bullet.
I hear you, mate. I hear you.
14-year-old girl shot dead.
One time when my mum went over to Ireland, she brought back a plastic bullet, and I probably was maybe even younger than that age when I first seen it, and it's about, from what I can stretch for your 2 fingers, about 3 inches, maybe 4 inches.
Aye, they're big.
And a solid You know, it's what was it? It's just a solid. It was just my.
I know what you mean. I'm quite,
one of them fired
I must be
at
like,
force.
I must be like a big marker pen getting just fired.
Oh,
at you.
double that size and weight, and
Aye.
if that's propelled at you, and if that hits you in the head, then you've got no chance. Honestly, you know what I mean? Because it's a put. I mean, how that is non-lethal. I mean, if they characterise that as non-lethal, look, like you said, a poor lass at 14. I mean, I've got a wee lassie myself. My two lassies. I mean, I've got one at that age as well. You know what I mean? So it's just frightening, mate. It's frightening.
Aye. Well, I was just wanting to come on and just make sure.
And what year was that? What year was that, mate?
1981, bud. 1981.
So she would have been 46. She'd have been 46, 47.
12th of the 5th, 1981. That's when she got shot.
Cheers, buddy. Cheers for bringing that to the table. I know I meant to mention it. I read that earlier on there. I never got around to doing it. It was that busy picking up tunes and putting stuff
James
through.
Conley, man, it's fucking, as I said, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
He had a good message.
Aye. Me coming from the East Coast and that, it's Paul will call me a tutor. He'll be in there calling me a tutor in the chat room and that. But he knew what we all needed at the time, and had words, and his philosophy, it still lives on today. We need to follow that.
You better believe it, buddy. You better believe it. Hear you.
Right, Tom. Anyway, I'll just.
God bless.
I'll let you go again. Get back on me.
Take care. Leave less, mate. Right.
Cheers for taking the call.
Thanks for phoning, mate. God bless.
No problem.
All the best to the family, right?
Cheers, Tommy. Hail.
Take care, mate. Thanks, Liam, yeah. Take care, you boy. Family, that's what it's all about, isn't it? Family. And, right, so it's now 1, 2, 3 in the morning. 1, 2, 3 in the morning. On my wee clock here it's saying 0, 1, 2, 3. So that's 23 minutes past 1, if I can remember. They taught me wonderful stuff at that. Oh. What are you doing phoning that number, you crackpot? Would you want? Do you want to go live there? You want to go live there, aye? Right, hold on. We've got a special live guest here. We'll hang up now. 2 seconds, we'll phone you back. We got a special live guest here. And it's, hold on, let's see what we got here. Let's see, where are we going? There we go, we put this on here, we put this on here. Right, so we got a special live guest. But before we get that special live guest on, we're going to play a tune. A tune in respect to this special live guest about to go on just now.
At 4:30 a.m.
This in respect to this live brother coming on, a special guest. You might know him, you might not, but before that we'll play this just now.
On Monday, the 9th of August, 1971, at 4:30 a.m., Irish men from all over the 6 counties were taken from their homes. Hundreds of these men were then imprisoned without trial in Longcache concentration camp. This is a song born of the civil resistance campaign which followed internment. A song dedicated to those men in Longcache who are still, more than 10 years later, the men behind the wire.
Armoured cars and tanks and guns came to take away our sons, but every man will stand behind the men behind the wire.
through the little streets of Belfast in the dark of early morn. British soldiers came marauding, wrecking little homes with scorn. Heedless of the crying children, dragging fathers from their beds, beating sons while helpless mothers watched the blood pour from their heads. Armoured cars and tanks and guns came to take away our sons, for every man will stand behind the men behind the wire. Not for them a judge and jury, nor indeed a crime at all. Being Irish means they're guilty, so we're guilty one and all. Round the world the truth will echo, Cromwell's men are here again. England's name again is sullied in the eyes of honest men. Armoured cars and tanks and guns came to take away our sons, for every man will stand behind the men behind the wire. Proudly march behind our banners, firmly stand behind our men. We will have them free to help us build a nation once again. On the people, step together, proudly, firmly on your way. Never fear and never falter, till the boys come home to stay. Armoured cars and tanks and guns came to take away our sons, for every man will stand behind the men behind the wire. Armoured cars and tanks and guns came to take away our sons, for every man will stand behind the men behind the wire.
And yes, internment began just 6 short months before I was born. I couldn't remember if it was 6 months before or after it. I knew it was in August, and around about the time I was born. So look at that. We've still got interment just now, 42 years later, still in Ireland, and people who have accepted their seat in power in their state-subsidised houses, state-subsidised protection, and for what justice has been achieved, and has the banking cabal been kicked out of Ireland. And we'll get an eminent crackpot here. We have an eminent crackpot here some point soon. Maybe not. Maybe he's aye. Maybe he's not. Pick up, crackpotto. We shall not. We shall. It's a battle of mind games here. We're not gone. You're holding up the show here, crackpot. Pick up. If I have to drive to be a year to get you on here, I will. Now move it. What's going down here? You're taking the single fish here. Oh, what's going on here? What's going down? I was ready to start the engine and come down to Drumchapel to get you on.
It would have been the first time, it will be the last.
Aye, it can be done again, don't you worry. What's going down?
I don't know what's going down. I just wanted to phone in because there was too much Twitter talk. Excuse my voice, by the way, I've been doing a bit of singing.
No half.
So, what's happened, Tommy? Give a bit of your fucking part here.
I've not got any part of me, I'm just...
Right, well...
I'm just chilling, mate. Have you enjoyed the show?
Tremendous. A couple of James Connolly stuff was tremendous. It's good to remember these things from time to time.
It's tied in with my history, mate, because of my grandfather was born just a few short miles up the road on that very day. I mean, that's always been with me since I was a wee boy, and I mean, it's and if you look at the way what happened, I mean, it's the message that he gave as well. It's daunting. I mean, we've still got that same challenge. So he spoke about his time 100 years ago. So it's unbelievable how 100 years later, the same challenge and battle that he faced, we've got the same one just now, and it's ever more pressing. And we have to do something about it. Do you agree, bro?
100%. It's very pertinent. It's very pertinent what you're talking about with James Connolly 100 years ago, and the economic thing, the new capitalism has failed.
Yep.
Capitalism has failed us all, and we're all paying for it. We've all paid for it. Our fathers are paying for it. Our sons are going to pay for it. Or in your case, your daughters. So, aye. It's going to be fucking... I don't know what the end game's going to be. Is it going to get worse? Or is it going to get better?
For this economy?
Aye, well, for the human race in general, economy-wise, in our wee corner of the earth.
Sadly, I think.
Aye, I think it's going to get worse.
If you look what's happened in places in Africa and South America and Asia, the living standard of people there is just shocking. People are dying with illnesses that we can treat here. There was something I heard in the radio. There's more people dying of overeating and obesity than there is starving people. So we're killing ourselves in one part of the world, we're eating too much, and in another part is not got enough. So the inequality and the injustice is just frightening. And if we think...
I'm a fat, greedy bastard, working in kitchens and all that, so I know exactly what you're saying.
But if you think that the fact that the contempt for human life in another part of the world, it's not as if it's somewhere that we can't reach or go to, because we can fly all the way to the other end of the world of Australia, bypassing all the places suffered, flying over them wherever you are in the world. You fly over all these places suffering, so it's not as if they can't be reached. In many of the places where people are dying of starvation, we're taking the food out. You know, when people were dying in Ireland 150 years ago, it wasn't because there wasn't any food. They were taking food out, the Brits. They were selling the food.
The best illustration, Tommy, of that, what you're talking about in 1847 in Guatemala, the Great Hunger, was the Christy Moore song. The Christy Moore song where he talks about the 14 firkins of butter, and all that leaving for Cork Harbour. Well, on the west coast of Ireland, people were starving to death. The reason why I phoned up, Tommy, right, I didn't know my voice was this bad, so it's probably an absolute waste of time, because I can hear myself speaking like I can hardly hear myself.
Stay there and I'll get you back on. Stay there, see what gets in a wee bit better. Hold on, stay there, sir. I don't know if that's the quality of the line, I know it wasn't. How's this? Right, I don't know how, has the sound quality deteriorated? Anybody help me out there in the box, is it?
No, I can hear you fine, I'm just talking about my voice.
Oh, your voice? No, but I'm not sure if the quality has went away as well, but I'm hearing you. You're coming through all right.
Right, aye. Well, I just heard a wee bit there when you hung up. I've got yesterday the Green Brigade passed out leaflets. Right, and I'm just going to read it out for people that hadn't seen it.
Right, on you go.
Right. Season 2012-13 will be remembered for numerous reasons if you're a Celtic fan. Rangers dying, qualifying for the Champions League, our 125th anniversary night where we humbled Barca, and then qualified for the last 16 before going on to secure another SPL trophy. It's been quite a year. As a group, this was the Green Brigade's 7th full season since we were formed in 2006. It's been quite comfortably the most testing and turbulent year of our existence. We have experienced unprecedented levels of police harassment since the introduction of the offensive behaviour at Football Bill, which has resulted in members being arrested at home on trumped-up charges and consequently banned from following Celtic, the team we all love. It reached the stage where last November it got so serious that we decided to call a 2-match boycott of Celtic Park. A lot of our members haven't missed a Celtic match in years, so clearly this was a decision that was not taken lightly. We also asked the rest of our section to join us in this action. The support and the back received from you, and indeed the rest of the Celtic support off the back of this, was quite incredible and massively appreciated. The section lay completely empty and highlighted the situation to the extent while the rest of the ground stood up for the Green Brigade on the 12th minute of both matches. Sadly, the harassment has continued into 2013 and in fact has worsened. The events of the Gallagate on 16th of March, when we were kettled like criminals during a peaceful protest, led to a rally in George Square when around 4,000 fans congregated to demonstrate against the SNP's continued criminalisation of football supporters and Celtic fans in particular. This was a massive show of strength and showed those who wish to repress us that we won't go away. We would like to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you who have stood shoulder to shoulder with us this year. Without this support, the Green Brigade wouldn't exist. UTLR until the last rebel.
God bless them. And God bless you, brother. God bless you for sharing that.
It was a wee handout for the Green Brigade yesterday, and I know a lot of people wouldn't have got it. So, right, I'll let you go, right, you fucking motherfucker.
Oi! I'll give you a permanent ban for the next 5 seconds for language like that. That's shocking. You talking about? Come on here with something decent to say. Don't lower the tone. I've been struggling to not swear the whole show in respect. Show some respect for your Fenian brotherhood.
Respect?
I know you have, but you've shown respect by putting that out there, because see, the Green Brigade, they are symptomatic. They are being oppressed. I mean, if James Connolly was alive just now, he'd be standing with the Green Brigade in solidarity, because they're being oppressed from people who should know better. You know what I mean? It's shocking that in this day and age, in 2013, how a group of people who are our kith and kin, they're there with us, and it doesn't matter. I think, I mean, I just find that if anybody's a neutral who doesn't like the Green Brigade, if they're being attacked and persecuted in this way, it doesn't matter your feelings of them. You should be standing in solidarity. Would you agree with me on that, brother?
Of course I would. Why would any Celtic fan not like the Green Brigade?
Well, that's beyond me, but some people do. But
I know there's plenty that do, but I mean, to me, that is just, well, they're just as part of the problem as the SNP.
Well, if they're not standing together, I mean, well, we can sort out our own problems in-house in a better way. Would you say that we could sort our problems out in a better way than what we have been doing in-house? Because it's a sad sight to see, is, you know, a bit of infighting, and I've been guilty of it as well at points for this and certain things.
But to me, Tommy, the whole ethos of being a Celtic supporter, it's not just about being a Celtic supporter and supporting a football team. It's about a way of life. It's how you think about things, right? So, if you're that way inclined, which I think at least 70%, 80% of the Celtic support are that way inclined, why are we getting caught up in people that don't really have much a clue what being a Celtic supporter is all about? And I include bloggers in this, you know who I'm talking about, who have probably seen Celtic all their lives as well. But to me, they go against the whole ethos of what Celtic's about for me, and not just for me, for all my mates as well, and my family.
And do you feel that this ostracises you, or that the people who are doing that, do you feel ostracised by their attitude?
No, I don't feel ostracised whatsoever. I don't feel ostracised whatsoever. Because
would you say you're in the majority then?
I would say so, definitely. See on our bus today, there's about 100 odd members. I could probably count 20 that used fucking Twitter, or, you know what I mean, read blogs.
I know.
You know what I mean? It's a false picture.
Yeah, no, totally. And because the majority you would get on Twitter are, it's a myopic viewpoint. You're getting a certain group of society who's posting their views, and other ones who have not tapped into that, who are not in that thing, that world, might have an altogether different attitude and outlook on all things Celtic. And if anybody was in the barras yesterday or kicking about there, then there's people who are within the Celtic community who look down and frown upon those Celtic fans as being some kind of, I don't know what phrase we use, trailer trash or second class citizens. There's some people, look down at, and that's maybe people who are in the higher echelons of our club, not just you're talking about the bloggers, whoever, but there was a certain snobbiness or arrogance between a group of Celtic fans. Is that what you're identifying, Paul?
You've experienced yourself recently some aloofness on certain media, internet media sites connected with Celtic. You've experienced it yourself.
I'm saying nothing.
Well, we all know.
No, well, yeah, I mean, I get a ban for the huddle board. I've been banned for the Kerrydale Street, and just because maybe my attitude doesn't appeal to some people, but it's c'est la vie. It takes all kinds into it. Just because somebody talks in a certain way, and if you don't like them, I mean, the only place I ban people is on my Twitter, because I don't think it's a proper place to have a debate. That's why I offer people, if you ever want to see what I'm like, come and meet me. I've met you and I've met other people. I mean, meet me and you'll see the real person, or phone me up and chat to them and find out what the real person's all about, instead of saying, oh, this guy talks this way, so he's a total nut job. Know what I mean? And people might think that of me or you, whoever, and think, oh, we're ashamed to be associated with them because they're too Republican or they're too chavvy or neddy or whatever. Well, I mean, they're the people who've got a problem, because I try to see everybody as the same. Do you know, Paul?
Well, you do try, but it doesn't usually work that way.
No, I know, but these people don't even try. I mean, you've got to try.
No, I know what you're saying, Tommy.
Those people don't even try.
We've all seen it. We've all experienced it. But see the guy that started the huddle board. He was a pal of mine when I lived where I lived. I don't like to say too much. He's a fucking great guy. So I would back him to the hilt every day. But I chucked all the Celtic forums, because there is too much of that aloofness and the kind of, I don't know, cliquiness at times. Would you agree with that?
See, I don't get involved with anything like that. There probably is, but I try not to think. I just keep myself to myself and have my own clique of one. I mean, I've got my own clique. I've got enough mad bastards running about in my head before joining with any other mad bastards out there. So, I mean,
what do you mean, you're not a clique?
What? No, I've got more multi-personality disorders running about my head than you take a stick at. I mean, if a psychiatrist got together, they could have a conference and just me alone. I mean, they could sit down and say, look how many split personalities this bastard's just pulled out in the last half hour on this phone call. I mean, even so, no, mate, I'm right. So make a point, caller, because I'm just drifting here into insanity and beyond.
Hey, here's a point I'm going to make, right? It's a point well, fuck it, I'm going to make it, right? Because see, I'm going to make a point about the Sevco obsessed.
Well, I'm obsessed. I'll put my cards down for that. I'm totally obsessed with him. Right, on you go.
You are fucking one of them, right? But there's right, sometimes I just go like that. See your Twitter, don't get me wrong, right? See you as well, right? I'll put you in this kind of division. And guys on Twitter that I love reading their stuff and all that. And you think to yourself sometimes, oh, for fuck's sake, man, gotta give you a rest. This is going to happen, that's going to happen, and you're like, I better check my Twitter every 2 minutes. Nothing ever fucking happens. Because it's just led to lie. Tell us when something happens. And all this cryptic messages with fucking Phil McGuller, fuck. No, I can't be doing it. It's just as my boxing.
I know, just let it happen. I know, I hear what you're saying on that side. No, well, I mean, for me,
you're ready a comedy show, but Tommy, you're ready to just take the country.
I know, but for me, I'll be honest. I mean, I did drift away from Celtic in 2001 for personal reasons. And well, was it so? What was it? John Barnes' season. So was it? It was 1999, 2000. So it was actually for it was the season before Martin O'Neill, and it was for
2000.
Aye, and my second baby had been born. I'd found out that she was going to be born on the day that we won the league for the first time in 10 years, and then she was born 9 months after. You can work it out, but it was my granny died a week later. But then when my babies were, she was only 3-4 months old, and then my other one was about 2.5, and the job that I was doing at the time, my only day off was a Saturday, so I was pulling myself away and going and watch Celtic. And then one day, right, I can always remember it clearly, I watched Mark Reaper jumping out a Mercedes convertible, and I was just going after work, and I just left my wee lasses in the house, and then I saw him come out of training, and I thought, and I was going to pay a season ticket or I think buy a ticket, whatever I was doing, and I saw him, and I felt resentful, because I thought, he's making shitloads of money, and my money is going into, not to support Celtic really, because it's going in, well, a good high price at 60-70% or whatever it is, was going in to pay his wages. And I thought, well, he's away now up the road to spend time with his wains, and I'm like, shit, I'm busting, I got 6 days a week, and I've only got a few hours at either end of the day to maybe see my Wayne, or an hour or half an hour, and then I've got to go to work, and then the one day that I go and see Celtic, I was having to tear myself away from my Waynes. So at that point I said, well, I'm going to give up my season ticket, and I gave up. My family took it over, and then I eventually came back in Tony Mowbray's season. Can you believe it? After all the wonderful years that I left under John Barnes.
Stay away.
Brought all the Waynes up, and here, do you know, that year with Tony Mowbray, and my Wayne, she developed a love for it, and she's pulling me out of my bed. I thought, well, with the price of the season tickets, it was 50 bangers, and I thought, well, I'll have some of that, because I went to the last couple of games under Gordon Stratton, and I was paying £15 a head, so I thought, well, if I go to 2-3 games, it'll pay for itself. But unbeknown to me, my oldest lassie became a mad feeding overnight, and she's pulled me out of bed saying, Dad, we're playing at home. And I was sitting there like that, after almost 10 years, whatever it was, since I left. I'd missed all the good stuff, more or less, know what I mean? And I'm sitting there going, oh, what is going on? So I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest Uber Tim Celtic fan on the planet. And, I mean, I do love Celtic, and I'll go, and like last season I took her everywhere, all away for all the away games, just because, I don't know, I just did it anyway. But I love Celtic, but I've got other priorities and other things to do. I'm not obsessed with it.
Tommy, I'll be honest with you right here, right now, and everybody that's listening in the chat room and all that. See if it was the... I'll keep renewing my season ticket and going to the football, because it's my day out. See if I say to my wife, hey, that's me chucking it, I've never seen her inside a pub for the next 20 years. You know what I mean? I shall do it. I
know, mate. I know.
Especially now, taking the ball and all that, and see, I'll be honest with you, right? See, like, this season, Barcelona, right? Seeing his wee face when Tony Watt scored that goal, and seeing his face yesterday when Scott Brown lifted that trophy, that fucking, you can't pay all the money in the world for that.
I know, mate, I know. I hear you,
because you remember it, you were away yourself. I mean, we're all blasé about it now and all that, and carry on and fucking just, you know what I mean, it's just a day out and whatever, got the football, it's just what you do. But see, when you see your Waynes, with that look in their eyes, there's nothing better than that in the world.
I know, mate, I know.
And that's where Pedro's got you in a barrel. Because he knows you're going to renew.
I see the big sign outside it. It's wonderful, cunning marketing. He's got Tony Watt peeling away. Belong. He's got there tugging the heartstrings. Belong. So you get Tony Watt, the highest moment of the season, scoring against Barca, and then it's get pictures of families all belong. So tugging the heartstrings, like you say.
Tony, we spoke before. For the last 3 years, I've been saying I'm not getting back. A lot of shite. I've always been there. You can't fucking help yourself. It's worse than the fags.
I hear you, mate. I hear you. I know there's a lot of people do that. I mean, for me, I fell out with football for, as I say, not even just for that. Well, when I went away, and then I always go back to one moment. It was a lassie called Fatima. She was Palestinian, and I always remember it because I always remember the World Cup in '82 because I went to a couple of games that Scotland played, the one against Brazil, and on that time when I was enjoying myself, aye, and on the time that I was enjoying myself, and I remember. This was going back 10 years ago, 12 years ago in 2001, and I went to a speech and I heard this lassie, and I was bubbling. I was really greeting. George Gallagher was there as well, and Tommy Sheridan, I remember it, and then they all broke off into wee speeches. But I remember listening to this lassie Fatima, and it was heartbreaking how, I don't know. And then I actually resented, for some reason I resented football for a good few years there. See the early 2000s, see under Martin O'Neill. I remember my Wayne, the man who was born, would you call it, or communion, but not communion, or what do you call it, the baptism?
Baptism.
Aye, and we played, the man came up, it was the cup final when they won, and on that cup final day, my mate came up for England. I was touring the Highlands the day we played the man came up. I didn't even.
Is that the one Rod Wallace scored? I
think so. Aye, extra time or whatever. Because my Wayne was getting baptised the next day, and I'd fell out with football just for I don't know, just mad reasons. I mean, the way you go, and I'd fell out with football, and just in a big way. And I mean, I was like, I can't be bothered with it. But I mean, I do love football and I do love Celtic. But well, for me anyway, I've went through different emotional times at different periods of my life. But you know what I can say, right? And I've heard somebody else saying it this way. But for all my stuff that I went through, you know the only one thing that's remained constant in my life, and the only one thing that I keep going back to, and if I don't know how long I'm going to live, but if I live to 70, 80, I might keep going away and falling out with it.
Will still be there.
But it's always going to be there for me, and I'm always going to go back to it. And do you know one thing?
I think everybody feels that way. I mean, we've all went through turmoil in our lives, and we've all went to the games, and we've always known that, right, if you're going to a game with your mates and all that, you're going to see Celtic, and it's always been there. Always will be there.
I know. That's what makes it special as well. I mean, the world shrunk as well, because so many people who have left Glasgow years ago, the only way they could get it was by sending the paper, and it would take weeks to get there, or sending old videos, and it would take weeks to get there. Now people can sit anywhere and watch it, and I can phone brain dead zombies in Toronto and say, hey, sell the shells, sell.
Imagine. Right, Tommy boy, I like maybe somebody else will phone in.
No, stay on, you're running away, don't leave me this way. Don't leave me, Polly, stay here.
What?
Tell me more about the yesterday then, because to my shame I never went along, because a few weeks ago it totally screwed me up for the rest of the day, because and that Saturday, these Saturday shifts are just brutal, mate. I can't go an early start on a Saturday and then go to work for the rest of the day, because I don't know, I'm getting too old, mate. I'm getting only day part-time hours, but it's my part-time hours, mate, even doing 6-7 hours these days.
Have you had a fucking shave yet?
What?
Have you had a fucking shave yet?
No, I'm doing an impression for the next Bin Laden movie.
Fucking Postal down again.
Hey, so tell me then, are you going to the cup final? Have you got a ticket?
Of course I've got a ticket.
Have you got one for my wee lassie's desperate to go, mad Fenian lass, she's studying away hard, and she's not got a ticket. She's been nearly...
There's queues all around Drum Chat looking for tickets.
She was in tears, she was like that, when Lennon's like that, he's telling me to come to the cup final, see the cup final. He says, she's like, talking about rubbing her noses in it, there's 40,000 not even got a ticket. Well, I know, Hen, there's loads of people, but...
Did you not get tickets at Celtic for Barcelona?
Aye, that's what she's got mental about. She's like, and now she's giving it to me tight, right? Because she's like, if different it was last season we would have got it. It's like, because we went away, and she's like, I've been to Barcelona, we've only applied, she's only been to one or two other games away on her ticket, and now she's like, oh, it's all my fault because I've not took her all the away games. She's like, last season you would have been going it all easy. But everybody, what was it different for last season? For this season, how was there so many?
I don't know what is going on. I mean, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what is criteria is there all child to have it on about you don't meet the criteria, as that people have been told on the phone when they phoned up and saying my van will get a ticket. So, see if they did have criteria, Tommy, right? See if they did have criteria, why are they just saying this is what the criteria is? Because they can't know, is everybody just moaning about it?
But there might be another chance, because tomorrow Hibs might begin tickets back, so there might be extra tickets there. But then
I don't think Hibs will begin tickets now.
Never know, mate. Depends how much. There might be a section. They might have no get. There might be a wee bit. They might give you 1,000 back, even a few hundred. But then it's just going to be a mad scramble even for that, isn't it?
There is absolutely no Wayne's tickets left for behind the goal. I'm having to pay 75 quid for him to get him. He has to take an adult ticket. So that's me and him, 70 quid.
Right, well then, just here, my Wayne, she's 16, she's an expert at doubling up. We doubled up at the Debt Dome last season. We doubled up at Killie. So there you go. Get her to double up with your boy, mate. Come on, sort it out and I'll double up with you.
Listen. We're for the drum. We know all the tricks. The fact is, I paid 20 quid for me and the Wayne's ticket. That 35 quid of that coming back to me.
I'll pay the £70 all in, listen. You just get my Wayne, I'll pay the £70.
Listen to me, Thomas, listen to me. See, you got the turnstile. Ronan's heat doesn't even go above the fucking, where the desk is. You just fucking flat. You just give him your wee stub and just push through it. Easy peasy pie.
Right, we're up for it then, let's do it then. I'll pay your 70. Listen to the rain here, can you hear it? Have you got rain through your line? No?
Right, phone's here.
Listen to the rain, look, it's belting it down here.
That's not even raining here, though.
Oh, it's ringing here.
Where are they?
Oh, I'm not going to say that on here, am I? I'll get a visit with the zombies will be walking about with their arms out. There's Tommy there, packed up. Hold on, we'll go and get him. What?
Are you in the north?
Dating up. Say it again?
Are you in the north of Glasgow?
No, I'm south, north men, south men, comrades all.
So there'll be no Protestants at all. I can't believe I said that.
You're up in the posh West End. You're sitting there in the posh West End. You don't even get the rain that we get here, and you're sitting there in the posh West End.
Oh, well, I don't know if the drum constitutes as posh.
I've been up your place. You're not even in the drum. You're in Knightswood. You try to say you try to get a bit of street cred, say he's in the drum. I've been there. He's in Knightswood. You're in Lower Knightswood. That's where you're in, Lower Knightswood.
Drumchapel Heights.
You're not in Drumchapel. See, you're a wannabe drum. You know what I mean? You're not a real drum. You're a West End snob for the Knights of the Wood. You know what I mean? The Knights of the Wood. You're not even for the drum chapel. You're for the away in the woods where the knights hang about. You know what I mean? Ah, God bless you, mate. God bless you.
That's a fucking sin in your soul.
I know, mate. That's a fucking sin in your soul. Come out to my show and swearing. Now you've got me swearing like a trooper as well. Now you're bringing out my Tourette's. Now you're bad for me. You're getting a lifetime ban for 10 seconds now.
Right, well, let's somebody else for that.
No, there's nobody. You're not allowed to go. You're getting kept on. I've got another 20 odd minutes. You're staying on for the rest of it. And then you're doing your own show. So get it. What happened to your voice anyway? What happened to your voice? Where did you sell
it? I left at Celtic Park yesterday singing fucking Long Cash.
That's good. Right, well, I'll let you go then. I'll let you go and get some lem sips or something. Go and sort yourself out.
Right, brother. I'll speak to you during the week.
Tell us a tune. What tune do you want on?
Oh, fuck's sake, man. You can't be asking a question like that.
Right, we'll put it on the chat. Put it on the chat then, right? Put it on the chat, my mate.
I'll tell you before we go.
No, you're getting kicked off. You know, you're too late. You're supposed to commit with it. You don't get time to think. You've got to commit with it. You've got to be an instant rebel.
Give us north and south.
I don't know about that. You know, give me a tune that I've got. I need to go hunting for it. I need to go looking for it now and then download it.
I don't know what you've got. Fucking, I don't know. Give us just give us a Christy Mail number. You must have a Christy Mail number.
Go on. What man do you want? Tell me then I'll go and hunt for it.
Any man you got.
I've got nothing. Tell me what you've got. I've got nothing. I'm running it hardcore for the YouTube. I'm copying and pasting it. It's a copy paste special. Give me the name and I'll put it in.
Tommy, what you're better doing just driving up here and I'll fucking take over.
You take. You can be my producer. Here, I'm getting a producer. I've got a producer. We're going. The boy who done my tunes, Interest Free Money. We're thinking of doing a tour of Ireland. We're just going, taking a keyboard and going playing round all the pubs, just playing a few tunes. I'll get the seat music for some rebel tunes and get me all back in tunes so I don't make too many mistakes, because I used to be good at it when I was a boy, but I just need to get practicing, and then we'll go around playing a few tunes. Don't need to sing, because everybody can sing the tunes when we're in there. What?
I'll bring my saxophone.
Let's get it going. Let's go do a tour of Ireland. We'll be doing tunes and then doing speaking, so hopefully, God willing, that's the plan anyway, mate. Because do you think that the Irish could be I mean, one of the things that James Connolly spoke about, just came back to James Connolly briefly, right? He spoke about Ireland being a beacon of light for the rest of the world. Do you think that Ireland's still got that potential to be a beacon of light for the rest of the world?
No, currently, no.
But do you think we can't? Like, obviously not currently, but do you think the people there have still got the fighting spirit that people who stood and gave their lives 97 years ago, do you think the people have still got it in them to do it?
I think the young people in Ireland definitely have, but the hard part of that is they're all leaving in their droves.
Right. Yeah,
it's the thing, because of the people in their 50s and their 60s now have made decisions that are just ridiculous, and the young people who have got a Republican mindset in Ireland are leaving.
Yeah, it's heavy immigration.
They've got nowhere else to turn.
I know.
So that's a problem in my eyes.
So the status quo will change because all the good youngsters are leaving to go somewhere.
I think the status quo will change globally, Tommy, at some point. I hope I'm fucking here to see it, but it can't go on this way. You know that yourself. That's what you build your whole thing on. You know what I mean? It's got to change, because in the day, man, I just hope when it does change, there's no bloodshed. But something's got to happen at some point.
The thing is that they can keep this charade going on and on and on. They've restricted the money supply, but they can soon ease it at any point and then just keep it going to such an extent. You know, they've got the noose around their necks, and now they can release it just a slight bit, but it's up to them how far they want to take it, I suppose, and it's up to us how far we want to allow them to take it. And unless we fight back, not in a violent way, but unless we voice our concerns. Look,
I worry, Tommy, that some factions in Ireland are gaining support and wanting guns back out. And don't get me wrong, I'll support any Republican, right? And I understand their concerns and why they want to go back to war, but they've got to have a mandate. I don't think they've got the mandate yet, and I would hope that we could find a solution before that came to pass. You know what I mean?
Well, that's why I'm thinking by doing it by oratory, by doing it by voice, by doing it by song. That's the way that is the best of ways to do it. A lot
of people are frustrated, understandably.
You better believe it. But by falling into the trap of what the oppressor wants you to do, which I think it is a trap, but if they,
I agree with you 100% there.
If they want you to take up the gun, and you take up the gun, then you played their game. So if they want you to take up the gun, then don't take up the gun, and then you win by not playing their game. So the best way is for a British military junta. It's changed its guns and it aims not at Ireland, but it changes its guns and aims at Iraq or Afghanistan. So the Leopard hasn't changed its spots, it just went elsewhere. And just because it's been convenient for a period to turn its guns away from Ireland, well, that's good. And well, I think there's a positive thing that, you know, if people take up the gun from the Irish community now, it's only going to cause these bastards to come back with their guns in an even bigger way. So we should hope to take it to the next level. But the people...
My opinion has always been, Tommy, that in the Ireland question, the loyalists in the north need to understand that they've got nothing to fear for United Ireland. They'll be welcome. They've got nothing to fear.
But when
that's the message that needs to get across. It's right and it's just, and they'll know. All right, they're not going to be fucking marching down Gervaki Road or Ormer Road or other contentious areas, fucking flinging pennies and banging their fucking drums outside chapels, right? But they've got nothing to fear. They're working class people as well.
But have we got something to fear if the Irish national community, have we got something to fear when the leaders of the Irish national community do not uphold the principle of what James Connolly spoke about? If people who were willing to sit down with Britain and accept Thatcher's neoliberal economic policy, which is not fair for anybody and has brought massive inequality and injustice to Ireland, as we're seeing just now, and to other parts of the world. So by accepting that, have we not been sold out? And it should be a case of we should be living in fear of the leaders of the Irish national community, because maybe they have exchanged generations of people dying, being shot in the chair. Maybe they have exchanged the memory and the history and what it was all about for something that they may be benefiting only themselves and the majority don't. I don't know, what do you think about that?
Well, I've heard that point being made many a time, but for me, I trust the leadership 100%.
No, well, I was putting that point there, that what they've tried to go for and what they've tried to get and what they've got, at certain points it could be pointed out that, well, by taking...
I've heard all these things. Basically what we're doing is basically what you're talking about is Sinn Féin and Mark McGuinness and all that, right? That's basically what you're talking about. I trust their leadership 100%. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be in the position we are now. We wouldn't have the freedom for granted, even in Glasgow.
But what I'm saying, but these rights that they have won, right, which undoubtedly there's some rights being won, but at what cost? By selling out your principles? Is it right to accept what they've accepted without ensuring the end of internment, without ensuring the end of a fascist rule by financial system? So by control of Ireland,
see these people interned at the moment in Macabre. There's been a lot of lawyers' fees for these people. Who do you think paid for that?
Right. But my point isn't who. Well, before we jump on it, who paid for it then? Tell everybody.
Well, I don't know.
Come on, you must know.
I don't know. I'm just asking a question.
Well, if we go and say it was Sinn Féin, yeah? Would it be right?
I never said that. I'm just asking a question. Right. Who pays for these lawyers' fees?
Well, I don't know, right? Well, the basis what I'm trying to say is what has been given from the Brits, or what concessions have been given, right? Now, you could say it's similar to what happened in 1921 where Britain offered Ireland. They were never going to hand over a utopian. They were never going to hand over what was wanted or what was needed. So, are you saying being pragmatic and accepting what they've got is better than nothing? Because what the argument that some people...
That's a loaded question.
No, but what the argument I read in the article, I can't remember who it was, right? But it was a wonderful it was a wonderful piece in the way he put it across, and he was mentioning how ANC, and I can see where he's coming from, but then if you step back and you see, well, see what you said there, what we've got just now, or what we've been given, because ultimately the people who run the banks, right? I mean, it's not even about Britain or Ireland, or it's not about nationalism, it's about maybe less than 1% who don't have any national badge or anything. They just control the land, they control the wealth and the resources, and they've got everything, and meanwhile 99.9% of us suffer because of, you know, this small group of people. So it's nothing to do really about nationality or religion. You know, when it boils down to it, it's a financial system of control. So yeah, you know, they're never going to really give Ireland to be able to control itself financially, you know, with the financial capitalist system. But what I'm saying right tonight, and I was pointing out the stuff about James Connolly, what he was calling for, that to have an Ireland with free from the capitalist banks. So hold on a minute, Tommy, just to interject here, right? You're talking about economic policy and fiscal policy and all that, right? Right, and sometimes everybody gets too caught up in all that stuff. What about emotional policy? What about what is right and just? You know what I mean? What about that? Yeah, but what I'm saying is, what I'm calling for, and it's just the same as James Connolly was, right? He was calling for the control of money to be by the people, for the people, and that any cost of a loan would just be the cost of administering it, instead of a financial system that bases it. Program, Tommy, right? There was a program open, right? It was a wee series called The Bank of Dave. Yeah, somebody was mentioning this, a banker in Oldham or something, or Burnley or something that's doing it. Burnley it was, right? Aye. This wee guy, right? He was a wee fucking baldy wank, right? But he just says, right, I'm starting a bank. I'm fucking starting a bank, right? Nay, just a bank. He says, he opened a wee shop and he started a bank. And he says, right, I'll lend people money if I think they're going to pay me back. And he started a bank in Oldham, and then, see, when he started getting popular, the FSA started saying, no, you can't do that. He was showing them up. You know what I mean? Exactly. Because see the way the system they've got there, the new, it's a false system, it's a messed up system. And all that I'm calling for is similar to what your Dave guy there called for, and similar to what James Connolly called for, was a change in a financial system that's broke, mate. Well, James Connolly, I think James Connolly's Marxism and Karl Marx's Marxism, obviously, I think at times is a wee bit unachievable. I don't like saying that, but I think it is, because modern life and technology dictates that I don't like to say the word capitalism in this context, but I suppose I need to. Like, capitalism at times and consumerism has to be prevalent, because technology and that evolves, and everybody wants. I'm sitting here on my fucking iPhone. You know what I mean? But see, for the capitalism that they've got just now, it's not about the technology or the stuff they sell you, right? It's about a control of the planet. It's not even about money. They don't do it for the money. It's about control and governance, keeping people in check. And how to keep people in check is through a financial system. So yeah, you can get people in places of the world where they get less than $1 a day. So they make all the cheap, worthless pieces of plastic, your iPhones and stuff that we pay hundreds of pounds for, and we buy in to the whole ideology of that this which makes us happy and this was good, and we need to.
Hypocrites.
Aye, and so people rush out there and say, "Oh, this is going to thing me," but in reality, if we don't get happiness in all these created, manufactured wants, and these we're told that we need this and that. We've got a TV there to sell us all these worthless pieces of plastic.
I don't know about that, Tommy. When your phone huns and I'm lying in my bed with my headphones on, and your phone huns at 2 in the morning, it makes me quite happy.
Well, I hope it does. No, but what I'm saying is, right, the fact is that they have got a system of control where they've got technology where they can use laser-guided bombs to liquidate somebody, and there's people lying there starving, and like Bill Hicks said, that if they've got that technology to liquidate somebody for a wee place, how have they not got that to fire a banana into somebody's mouth? When you fly over to Australia...
Talk in that context, that's just pure ridiculous, isn't it, when you think about it?
I know, when you fly over to Australia, you're flying over Africa and people that are starving, so it's not as if they're in another world, they're in this world, and while there's that injustice happening just now, like for an example, when we speak about the famine, right, and the Great Hunger, there's not even a famine, it was a hunger that was administered by the British administrators who went there and committed a genocide. It was a Holocaust, the Irish Holocaust, when 1 million people die in 5 years, and over the next 50 years, about 5 to 10 million people flee the land because it's been left in abject poverty, you know, by British administrators who went in there and did that. Oh, it's frightening. And what I'm saying is, well, see the people who are dying in Africa just now, when we've got so much food in abundance, then what we are doing by not standing up and trying to change the system for these people, what good is it to remember the people who died in the Great Hunger of Ireland? What point is it to remember those people if we're not standing and fighting and saying something or doing something to try and change the status quo for those people? Because 50,000 people die each day through effects that can be treated in the West. People die of tuberculosis. Nobody dies of tuberculosis here because we've got the time of malaria. People die of malaria. People die of AIDS, retroviral drugs that can be provided at a part of the cost of what the main drug companies charge it for. And people have to die because the countries of these people can't afford these drugs. Yeah, so there's a sickness that has to be stopped, and if we want to respect the memory of the Irish people who died in the Holocaust of the Irish, then we've got to fight for the Holocaust of the Africans that's happened just now, the Holocaust of the South Americans, the Holocaust of the Asians. This is what difference is it? If it's an Irish Holocaust, a Jewish Holocaust, an African Holocaust, people have been killed, and I mean, so that's why
you're doing it right now. You're fighting it right now.
But what's it?
You're fighting it right now, live on air, because as Bobby Sands says, everybody has their part to play. No part is too great, no part is too small. I mean, so you coming on here and people listening to you, and you're putting out that message. Well, that's danger ain't wee thing. But
I just wish it would change for the better. Just wish it would change, mate. It's no rocket science, you know what I mean? It's no. I mean, the stuff that I've been espousing is no different from what other people would have been espousing. I'm no special. Nothing's that. I've no invented the wheel. Everything I've spouting or saying is for me listening to other people. I'm a self-confessed plagiarist. Whatever I've heard or said is came through for other people. And that message that James Connolly spoke about was for other people to pick up and run with and speak out, and never forget that the main thing that was for Ireland, what was trying to be achieved, was a fairness for men and women who had nothing, had not a pot to piss in, and were starving. So just to achieve something a wee bit better, and whatever you had to do, I mean, his family left to go to Edinburgh, and then he came back, and then he seen what was going on there, and just try to fight for a better quality of life.
You need to try and picture, right? This was only 100 years ago, right? In the grand scale of things, 150 years ago wasn't very long ago, right? And there was people, wains, mothers, dying in the fields of starvation, dying because they had no grub. I mean, it's fucking... There wasn't like hunger strikers that decided, I'm going to die because I'm not eating. These people were fucking... shafted royally. Pardon the pun.
I remember seeing a documentary a few years ago, and it was, I don't know where in Africa it was, and it was about these two wee boys, and do you know what they were doing? They were mining for small wee bits, what's that stuff you put in mobile phones?
Zinc. I think I've seen that. Was it zinc?
Something like that.
No, it wasn't zinc.
Anyway,
I think I've seen the documentary about it.
And they were mining it, right? And then they took it in, and when you sift all the stuff away, and they put it in there, right? And they did it all day. Him and his wee brother, one was about 12, the other was about 8 or 9, or whatever age it was. About two young boys, and they were orphans, and they went mining, and they did all that they did, and they took it, and you know, they never even managed to earn enough to feed themselves.
It's heavy shit, man.
Oh,
you can't comprehend it, really.
That's today, bro. I mean, that's no...
I know.
150 years ago, that's happening now. And you look at it, mate, there's so much, the land is a plenty. I mean, all that stuff about there's no enough.
I throw out totties every fucking week, because I don't use them up. No, I mean, that's just an example. I throw out grub out my fridge every week.
We feed more to our animals in this country than we give out to aid to...
I know, it's bad.
Anyway. Well, that's what I try to do by having this show, because I was watching that part of the documentary about James Connolly, and was always struck a chord with me, but it seemed to strike an even more of a chord, because especially with the stuff I've been talking about the banks, when I seen the statement about the stuff, you know, it was calling for you know, just for a better, fairer society. And you know, well, we've got that in Ireland, because, well, I don't know, maybe there is people are starving in Ireland tonight, maybe there is people who there have not got much as well, but we have come on a lot in all that time. But just because people in Ireland are not really in a bad position as they were 150, 60 years ago, you just go to Africa or Asia or places like that where people are back to 150 years ago levels, and that's a sad indictment of us the new, isn't it, really?
Aye, it's a sad indictment of humanity.
Yeah.
But fuck's even, I don't know the answers. I'm only fucking me.
I know, mate. And that's what, well, in a way as well, for things like Celtic and the enjoyment of, I mean, it's hard to enjoy when thing, but I can understand. I mean, people, you need to have something to turn yourself off. And I mean, my stuff, I turn myself off by doing my radio show. I think I feel more relaxed than just sitting here in my motor, just pressing a wee button or playing a tune or talking to a good person like yourself. This is the time when as people say, you're doing a good job, keep up the good work. For me, it doesn't seem like work, just sitting here talking a lot of flannel juice and gibberish to good people like yourself or others, know what I mean? And winding up zombies and talking to fella Tims. And people say, keep up the good work. This is my idea of fun. I'm doing this for the fun and love, know what I mean? If somebody's sitting there laughing, I mean, all the messages people say, oh, well done and all that. I'm doing it for the buzz myself, know what I mean? Well, and the boy, God bless him, his boy contacted me the other day, but the boy Eddie Martin, who gave me the encouragement to do it and go and do the main radio show, so he's a mad bastard, he's a mad crackpot for the planes who said, get out there and do it yourself, and So, and his predicament was that part of his leg was cut off, and he set up a group in Facebook, and he kept helping people who had suffered amputation. He kept helping people who were, you know, coming to terms with it and put a wee smile on their face. And he certainly did that for me in his bad situation, and he helped me through my situation as well, and which wasn't anywhere near as bad as his, but he always managed to put a wee smile on my face. So, in my wee way of, like the stuff about James Connolly there, although I'm no a Catholic anymore, I believe in the Catholic faith, I'm still part of the Catholic community of the west of Scotland, and I love it to bits, because you don't have to be a Catholic to be part of it. You just have to be a human being and appreciate it and say, well, okay, I don't go to chapel.
You know me, Tommy, I'm a pure fucking Catholic, not that, right? I just want to interject here. You're talking about James Connolly and Catholicism. James Connolly, a lot of people think turned his back in Catholicism. He wasn't a Catholic, and he was a communist, and he turned his back in the Catholic Church and all that. That's what a lot of people tell you. James Connolly, when he was in Kilmainham jail before he died, made sure that his wife and his daughter buried him in a Catholic ceremony. So, there you are.
No, I hear you, I hear you. No, well, I was just saying for myself there, like, it was just a part of that bit I played there, that you know, just, I mean, like, well, that was addressing, like you said, like you just addressed there, like, a lot of people were saying, well, because how do you address the fact for communism? Well, there's certain parts of communism that, well, I'm no communist, right, but there's certain parts of communism that cross over with Islam, they cross over with Judaism, they cross over with Christianity, as in communism. It just because a lot of the doctrine from the, you know, Marx and Engels was maybe came from
really, as far as I'm concerned, communism is the teaching of Christ.
There you go, mate. And then people who have studied Islam can turn around and say that, you know, parts of communism, that's what an Islamic state and its bare essence was like everybody had, you know, something.
The bare essence, exactly. Every religion, the bare essence of every religion is communism.
Yeah, because everybody has we're all equal in the eyes of God. I mean, if you believe in the one God theorem, then, you know, we're all equal. There's no division. We're only differences.
4x2s, they're bad bastards.
You're getting cut off now. You're dumped, right? You're off. You've got the last 5 minutes. You're cut off. Say good night. Good night, Polly. God bless. Love you to bits. You're banned. He's banned. Shocker any time. But you know he's only joking. He's only joking. Because the main prophet of his Roman Catholicism, his Roman Catholic faith, came from a lovely Jewish background. So, bringing the tone down, shocker innit, but hey, I've been bringing the tone down of this show for years and years now. I do apologise for that. Right, 2:30 and this rain is pelting down. I was going to play some other tunes, but I don't know what he's ruined the whole show here. He's ruined it all. I need to do another show. Aye, you've ruined nothing, brother. I should have upgraded to the 5-hour package. My package subscription expired. It offered me the chance, instead of paying the one, was it £12 a month? I was considering going for the 30. I'm sure they'd put it up. I'm sure it was only £20 odd, but it's went up to the equivalent of £32. I was going to go and upgrade, but still get plenty of time. Let's see here. Right. Oh, how long's that? That's not too bad. I'll play this wee one now. I've got a wee clip here that I would want to play, so just give me 2 seconds. I'll copy and paste this. This is a gentleman by the name of Dan Breen from the 3rd Tipperary Brigade. think it's just a couple of minutes, this one, a minute and a half, so hold on.
In every town there were maybe 6 agents. And they knew even what you were thinking of. They knew what you had for your breakfast, dinner and supper if you had it.
And everything he's met during the day.
Our policy was always to hit hard, kill all you can and get away. In guerrilla warfare there's no such thing as kid gloves. You've got to kill, and you can't leave anyone alive after, because if you do, you're going to get your innocent people executed. You murdered so and so and so and so. Yes, I killed them. I said, all killing is murder to me. I make no apology for killing. And the only really thing I was ever sorry was the number that escaped. I don't make any bones about killing. Anyone that comes into my house or my country and tries to take over by force, I'm going to kill him, and I'll use any and every means to do it. And I'm saying that now in the winter of my life. I'm at a week, an hour to live or a day to live or a year, and I am not one bit sorry for it. To any man or God.
Ach siad na Canary or Tula, Darira, a yen and kin.
I'd have willingly laid down my life for calling it any time. And I think to me, a cheap price to pay. Because you must remember that when I was a boy, we were slave-minded, serfs. And anyone that come along and lift us out of that position, I looked upon them as gods.
And I'm going to finish off, I'm going to get time to play this one, and it's for my wee papa, God rest him, who was born on the same day, James Connolly, and this was written by a freed slave, sung by Judy Collins, Amazing Grace.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace
Sin a fiha a tafi aligeren Queens ourselves Her tien der lange Be bus face hair Shantir a shin share pasta The odd bar Pantera knock the town And dogs I am Sabar Noel They come